This is Cronkite News.
Rare condition is popping up among children exposed to COVID-19 in Arizona. The symptoms you need to look out for.
It's not surprising, but it's disappointing because this should be something that they're really excited about because it'll put millions of dollars into our public schools each year. And those investments are going to help our workforce and our economy.
Plus, a proposition to tax the wealthy more to pay for schools is under fire. And the Coyotes start their season next week, but what effect will no fans in the stadium have on their players?
Cronkite News starts now.
Welcome to this Cronkite News Update. I'm Jalpan Nanavati. The US is heading in the wrong direction with COVID-19 numbers, and researchers say the numbers are increasing quickly. Just after 1,000 people died in a single day, now the US is on track to hit 1 million new cases in just 2 weeks, making it 4 million COVID-19 cases in total. To put that in perspective, the first reported case came on January 21. After 99 days, 1 million Americans became infected. It took just 43 days after that to reach 2 million cases. And 28 days later, on July 8th, the US reached 3 million cases. Now 2 weeks later, case number 4 million could be reported. As of this morning, more than 3.9 million people had been infected across the country, and more than 142,000 have died. That's according to data from Johns Hopkins University. Arizona's COVID case numbers have shown a sign of slowing. Right now, the 7-day average for new cases is under 3,000 for the first time since June 29. This morning, the Arizona Health Department reported 1,900 new cases and additional 56 deaths. That brings the state's total to over 150,000 cases and just under 3,000 fatalities. Free drive-through testing is being offered across the valley. And as you can see in this video, the lines can get pretty long, so make sure to set plenty of time aside. Also happening here in Arizona, a rare and potentially life-threatening condition is being discovered among children who have been exposed to COVID-19. The disease is called Multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children, also known as MISC. A doctor from the Phoenix Children's Hospital says the disease usually comes 3 to 6 weeks after a COVID infection. But according to the CDC, the disease can also occur even among children who have only been around someone with COVID-19 and have not actually had COVID-19 themselves. Some of the symptoms to look out for include fever, abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, and fatigue. Phoenix Children's Hospital, along with Banner Health in Phoenix and Tucson, have all reported cases of MISC. Most children who are diagnosed with this have gotten better with medical treatment, according to the CDC. The race for a coronavirus vaccine is ramping up, with some vaccines in the final phases of testing.
We're pursuing 2 promising vaccines.
We have a line of sight and a clear critical path.
Just this morning, the announcement came that the Trump administration signed an agreement with Pfizer for 100 million doses of their vaccine by December. As the debate over schools reopening in the fall continues, Arizona's top education official says they should be empowered to reopen their campuses based on public health data rather than aiming for a particular date. Yesterday, Superintendent of Public Instruction Kathy Hoffman said she outlined her priorities to Governor Doug Ducey, who is expected to announce their next steps for schools this week. He has previously closed schools through August 17. Hoffman says schools also need a guarantee of full funding for distance learning. Ducey and his top health officials said last week that they would prefer for their own children to be in school on campus. Right now, one Arizona school district is using a unique method to sanitize classrooms during the pandemic: power fans. This is a power breeze, typically used to cool down a crowd of people. As the arms of the fan start to move, a mist appears, disinfecting an entire classroom in 20 minutes. Now there are 35,000 across the country, but this is the first used in a southern Arizona school district.
It's pretty much the same process. It's instead of having it fully water inside the tank, you're putting a small amount of EPA-approved disinfectants inside the machine and using the same technology that you use to cool down people, but just to sanitize.
Something for us that was, again, cost effective, but also provide the safety and security for our students and staff.
The Santa Cruz Valley School District owns 6 to clean empty classroom hallways and even school buses. Each unit costs about $4,500. A ballot measure to tax wealthy Arizonans and raise nearly $1 billion for public schools is facing a lawsuit that could knock it off the November ballot. Nicole Soto explains the controversy.
Invest in Education, the group leading the initiative, submitted over 400,000 signatures to the Arizona Secretary of State's office this month to qualify for the ballot, almost twice the amount needed. According to the website, the measure would create a 3.5% tax surcharge for individuals making over $250,000, or married couples making over $500,000 to fund education. Arizonans for Great Schools and a Strong Economy, a committee supported by the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, filed the lawsuit against the measure, stating that this information is misleading.
This is certainly much more than just a 3.5% increase. It's 3.5 points added to the tax rate. So that would create an upper tier tax rate that would be one of the biggest in the country, and it increases it by 78% of what folks are paying now.
David Lujan, the director of the Arizona Center for Economic Progress, called the claim on the lawsuit false.
Nobody will see a 78% tax increase from Invest in Ed. And to give you an example, a married couple who makes $501,000 in taxable income will pay $35 in additional taxes from the Invest in Ed surcharge.
Lujan says the lawsuit is disappointing but expected.
It's not surprising, but it's disappointing because this should be something that they're really excited about, because it'll put millions of dollars into our public schools each year, and those investments are going to help our workforce and our economy.
A similar lawsuit was filed against a former version of the Invest in Education Act in 2018, and the Supreme Court knocked it off the ballot for misleading language.
The heart of last time around was that same argument, that we believe that it did not reflect exactly what it was doing, and it wasn't presented that way to the public and or to people that were actually signing the petitions. And that's one of the big arguments we're going to make, and we think we have a very good chance.
Lujan says the measure has been restructured since 2018 and will hold up in court this time around.
If we're putting more money into the pockets of everyday Arizonans, that creates jobs and boosts our economy. And there's no more effective strategy to increase earnings than to increase educational attainment.
Malera says initial court hearings will happen within the next few days. Nicole Soto, Cronkite News.
A resolution to the lawsuit is expected at the end of August. Arizonans are returning their early ballots in much larger numbers than in the last two primaries. As of Sunday, more than 374,000 early ballots have been received by county reporters. In both 2018 and 2016, around 248,000 early ballots had been returned, with 16 days left until primary election day. Of the ballots returned so far, 45.9% came from Democrats, 45% were from Republicans, and 9.1% were from independents who can participate in the primary of their choosing. Today, Joe Biden's campaign is teasing a social media video featuring a conversation with President Barack Obama. The presumptive Democratic presidential nominee spoke with his former boss about the pandemic and the economy. Here's a look at the conversation that's set to be posted tomorrow.
And one of the things that I have always known about you, Joe, it's the reason why I wanted you to be my vice president and the reason why you were so effective. And it all starts with being able to relate. If you can sit down with a family and see your own family in them and the struggles that you've gone through or your parents went through or your kids are going through, if you can connect those struggles to somebody else's struggles, then you're going to work hard for them. And that's always what's motivated you to get into public service.
Biden campaign has not released the exact time the video will be posted Thursday. They're encouraging supporters to text together to 30330 to be notified when it's live. Well, if you've been waiting for the wet weather to start, then you might be in luck this week. It looks like the valley's best chance for showers and thunderstorms is tomorrow night, and the wet weather could continue into the weekend before drying out next week. With the possible monsoon storms come lower temperatures as well, so expect valley highs to fall into the low hundreds in the next few days. The Stanley Cup qualifiers begin August 1st at two neutral sites in Canada. The Arizona Coyotes will play in Edmonton, and like the rest of the NHL, they will take the ice in an empty environment. No fans allowed. Kaylin Green shares the Coyotes' perspective on the situation and the difference it brings to the game.
For athletes fueled by a crowd, the removal of fans from the stands can create an obstacle. Mental toughness is needed as the Arizona Coyotes and the rest of the NHL get ready for playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be a big difference. I feel like we're probably going to have to help each other out there to pump each other up a little bit extra before we go out or in between shifts or whatever it is, because it's we're so used to playing in front of sold out buildings, and it's going to be I think that's going to be the toughest thing to come out and don't see any fans.
Sports psychologist Adam Berry says a positive mentality and continuous adaptation is key when it comes to the changing conditions.
Control the controllables. And what I mean by that is a lot of our athletes will try and control things that they're just not able to control. Teammates, opposition, refs, facilities, crowd. And you literally have no control over those. So what I try and encourage them to do is to focus on the things that they can control that will have a positive impact upon the things they can't control.
The support of home fans can play a big role in the outcome of games. A 2014 study done by researchers at Canada's Simon Fraser University found that the home team in NHL regular season games won nearly 55% of the time, a home ice advantage that all but goes out the window, with the season resuming in a neutral site without fans in the stands.
There's going to be nobody in the stands, and you go down to block a shot, you might hear that thing bang off your foot, and that's something that you're going to have to go back to the bench. I don't think I've personally ever heard a shot hit off my foot in a dead silent building, but those are things that you know will adapt to.
The team can't control the absence of fans in the stands, but positivity, communication, and teamwork are all within their control. Kaylin Green, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Coyotes, along with the rest of the NHL, may be entering playoffs in a new unfamiliar environment where fans will not be in the stands cheering, but support will be shown virtually once dates are set and play officially resumes. Finally tonight, the NFL is planning to allow players to wear decals on the back of their helmets bearing names or initials of victims of systemic racism and police violence. The initiative will be done league-wide, with each team deciding who it will honor and how to display the names or initials. Unlike the NBA, which is allowing players to wear slogans on their jerseys, the NFL will stick to names and initials once a final agreement has been reached with the Players Association. The program will continue for the entire season. That's it for this edition of Cronkite News. For Arizona news updates throughout the day, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and find us online at cronkitenews.azpps.org.